Hello everybody, welcome back to another Trailmakers video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a very simple glitchless aim jammer. So before I get into the video, I kind of want to show how this works and what it does. So this is kind of what it looks like. I just want to get it out of the way that this is not really meant for planes or spaceships. It's meant more for like stationary objects or hovering objects, and I'll show you what I mean, although you can adapt it to fit planes. So the best example I have is this big kind of mothership right here, which does work quite well in space actually, and that's kind of like what it's meant for. Now if we take off and I press the button to activate the aim jammers, you can see they start spinning up, and you can see a lot of little reticles rotating around me. So I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna get a turret, and I'm gonna start shooting at it. Alright you guys, so I have a turret here, and if we aim it at this ship, you'll see that the aiming like gets a little bit messed up and it tries to aim away. So this works best when you're like about a medium distance like this, because what happens is your aiming cone will completely circle around the build. You can kind of see it happening. And then to make this better, you're going to want to put shields on your build just in case a few stray bullets get through. But this does deflect a majority of the bullets. As you can see, I'm aiming basically straight up at it, and it is basically making them go all around it, and the very few that get through get stopped by the shield, no problem, and they're unable to break it. Now, before I show you guys how to make it, I do want to show you an example of it on something that flies more like a plane. Now, it's not going to look like a plane because it needs to spin, but you can see I have this thing right here that has mouse control, and I do have a tutorial on that if you're wondering. But if we take off and activate it, you can see it has the same spinning mechanic, except we can fly around like a jet, and this is actually very good for dogfighting because it has mouse control, and then people can't hit you at all because their bullets just kind of fly around you. So this is very good, but the trade-off is it's not going to look good, and it also doesn't fly great, but it is definitely possible, and you can make some pretty interesting things with this. Without further ado, I think it's time to get on with the tutorial. So first things first, you're going to want to get a seat of your choice. It doesn't matter if you're building this as a separate mechanic or you want to make a build around this. I would recommend building this first and then adding it to a build, or build your build around it. Don't try and fit this into an existing build, it doesn't tend to go too well. Alright, so once you have a seat, just because you need one, you're going to find the stackable helicopter engine. Now this is important, and you're going to need 2 of them, and you're going to want the backside facing out like this. And then you're going to leave a 2-block gap in between. And then we're going to go ahead and add a block like this in between. And at this point, you can connect this to your build with whatever. I'm going to use these frame blocks just to represent that you can detach this if you want. So the way I want you guys to picture this is if the yellow is your jet, your plane, whatever you're trying to make, the white is the actual aim jammer. So this stuff will not spin. Everything that's yellow won't spin. You can build on either side, but whatever you attach to these helicopter engines will spin. So basically, now all we got to do is we have to add the actual prongs that allow for the aim jamming to happen. So we're going to use 2 1x8s like this in a row. So you're going to have it, you're going to have 2 like this, and then you want the same on the other side. You definitely want it to be like this. You don't want to have it be lopsided. And you're going to want to duplicate that over here. The next thing you need is a tractor beam or a magnet, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to want to put them on the end like this. And you want to make sure there's a gap in between them. It doesn't really matter how you place them. You can place them like that. You can basically, as long as the next step works, you're fine. So I'm actually going to place them like this. Alright you guys, so I'm going to place the 2 magnets like this. And we're going to duplicate them on the other side, like that. And now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get air detachable blocks here. And it's worth noting that once the aim jammer is turned on, you can't actually turn it off because of the way it works. So just keep that in mind. Once it's on, it can't go off. If you do turn it off, it just won't be able to be turned on again. It won't like break, it won't break your plane. You just won't be able to re-enable it. That's all. So you're going to get it detachable blocks like this, and now we want to figure out the block you want to use for the actual aim jammer part. So I'm just going to use a 1x2 like this. And the next thing is you need another detachable block. And you'll see why in a second. But basically we're going to add something like this on every side. So I'm just going to duplicate it. Put it over here. You can kind of see what I'm doing. If it makes sense, we can actually move this up one. Oops. And now we can copy this over to the other side. Alright, now that we have this over here, the next step is connecting it all up with blocks, and that's pretty easy. All you gotta do is something like this, just like that, and then down one, oops, just like that. You can see it perfectly lines up. And again, make it the same on all the sides, of course. And now we're gonna work on all the bindings. So we want this to toggle. So of course, whatever button you want the aim jammer to be, I'm gonna make it just Z. This works on controller, by the way. Just set it to a button that you're not gonna normally press. And then make sure all of these are set to toggle and the same button as your engines. And now, here's the important part. You wanna make sure these guys right here are set to make scrap with a 0.1 delay. Okay, so after you've done that, then you want to go to your tractor beams and also set that to the same exact thing. Now when we spawn in and we press our button, everything should whirl to life, and you can see that they are stuck. You can kind of see it right there. Oops, well, I mean, this is currently exploding, but if we were to, say, flip this upright and then activate it, you can see that the little pieces of the shields are actually attached to the magnets. And you can adjust the speed of this to make this better or worse. And another thing I'd like to mention is the direction these are facing actually changes things. So if you're building something like that plane I was showing you, well, I don't know if you can call it a plane, but if you're building something for dogfighting using this, you're going to want your magnets in this configuration, because typically someone's going to be shooting at you from the front of your jet. So if this is your front, your aim jammer is pointing this way, or they might shoot from the back, and then in that case the aim jammer is pointing this way. But if you're building something stationary like a battleship and you don't want it to get shot from the side because it's not armored well from the side, then you would face them out like this, and of course you'd flip the rest of it to match. And if you want something that kind of goes in every direction, like a jack of all trades, this is going to use more complexity and it's going to be bulkier and look ugly. But you could alternatively copy this whole system over and have it face both directions, and then it'd work even better. But of course then that adds weight and drag, but it's up to you. If you're not trying to make something go fast, then it's probably worth it. Well, hopefully you guys found today's video to be useful. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing if you'd like to, and also consider joining the Discord server, link in the description. Thank you guys so much for 1K subs, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.